Alright, we're going to be looking at page 17 and 18 of your guided worksheets. So the definition for ratio is given to you at the top of the page. And one of the first things you see is a chart that asks you, what are the two things being compared for the following ratios? Because all of these are just examples of ratios. So for GPA, quality points is being compared to credits. So if you get an A, you have 4 quality points, and a B is 3 quality points. And credits means that if you're taking a 3-credit class and you get an A, then you have 3 times 4 quality points. Only one U.S. adult in 5 could calculate interest. So the two things compared are the adults who can calculate interest and all U.S. adults. 13% of U.S. adults are numerate, which means they know how to deal with numbers. So U.S. adults who are numerate and all U.S. adults. APR of 6%. You're comparing the interest and the balance. Those are the two things being compared. Speed is 7.24 miles per hour. So that tells you right there what's being compared. Miles is your distance. Hours is your time. Half of 17-year-olds don't know enough math to work in an auto plant. So 17-year-olds who do not know enough math, and all 17-year-olds. Now we're comparing math SAT scores for elementary education majors compared to the national average. So we're talking about math SAT scores for elementary ed majors and math SAT scores for all students. You borrowed $300 and paid $350 at the end of the month. So you're comparing the principal, how much you borrowed, and the new balance, which is how much you had to pay at the end of the month with interest. 52% of freshmen say their emotional health is above average. So you're comparing freshmen who say their health is above average, and you're comparing that to all freshmen. So we use ratios a lot. So here's another example. Now this chart, this information uses the chart that you see here on question number 2, but it also uses the chart on the previous page. So the first one is determine the ratio of private 4-year colleges to public 4-year colleges in state with the second quantity scaled to 1. So what they're asking you to do is take the information about private 4-year colleges, which is 30,094, public 4-year colleges in state, which is the 8893, and you're writing a proportion with the second quantity, the private, being scaled to 1. And so when you cross multiply and find the product, you end up with a ratio of 3.4. So if we compare this down here, that's saying for every $1 that you spend at a public 4-year college, you're going to spend $3.4 at a private 4-year college. That's what that comparison's telling us. So this table is asking us to fill in all the information for this table, so all these comparisons. So we're going to do 30,094 and 100 and 8893, and I called this Q. So when I do the cross product here, I end up with Q is 29.6. So because it's being compared to 100, that's saying that public colleges are 29.6 less % than private colleges. So here's another comparison. We have 8893 and 1 and 3264 and Y, and we get Y, I call that Y, is 0.37. So this comparison is saying for every $1 you spend at a public 4-year college in state, you will spend 37 cents at a public 2-year college, such as Germanna. So they're just talking about how much more inexpensive it is to do like Germanna. And then here's a comparison with M. I've got the proportion set up, and you cross multiply and you get 10.9. Here's a proportion set up to get R, which is this value here. and another proportion set up to get P, which is this value right here. So then they were asking you in the next question, so what number do you multiply by to go from the values in the third row to the values in the fourth row? So I had a little concern here because I wasn't sure which they meant by third and fourth. So I did a couple different ways. So to get from row 3 to row 4, that means I'm going from the 100 to the 99.1, the 29 to the 2.7, and the 10.9 to the 1. To get to those values, you would multiply row 4 by 10.9. So I would take 1 times 10.9 and I would get this. 2.7 times 10.9 and I would get this. 9.1 times 10.9, you get 100. Now it does make the statement there's going to be a little bit of a discrepancy because of rounding off. So you might not get exactly 100, but you should get something very close to it. Here's another example, and I said, what if you go from row 2 to row 3? So now I'm going from the 3.4 row to the 100 row. So we're looking at that 1 value, and that's how you decide what to multiply by. So if I multiply everything in row 2 by 29.6, I will get row 3. And the other question they said is, what if I wanted to find out, what if I wanted to get from column 3 to column 1? So again, these are my column 3 values, these are my column 1 values. To get from column 3 to column 1, I have that back, I'm sorry, this is column 1 and this is column 3. So to get from column 3 to column 1, I have to look at this 1 value. I would have to multiply each of those values in column 3 by 9.1 to get from column 3 to column 1. So keep watching and I'll show you some more of the guided workbook in just a second.